Winter.
Yes.
What is the number one cereal in Britain?
I don't know.
Cheerio.
I should have guessed that. Oh.
You should have.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast, where the brain and belly meet. I'm Lee from the Bee's Knees Waffles.
And I'm Winter from the Chef vs. Baker. This week, we actually have a really cool interview.
I like it.
You had a really cool interview with Chef Justice Stewart and talking about his new book.
He was a very interesting man from New York who likes to do cool stuff with weird meats.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. Hello, Leland.
Hello.
Leland,
Yes,
you are here.
I am.
Sharon is not here. We would like to first apologize for a little bit of inconsistency. We usually are not that inconsistent, but it's been a little crazy here, a little crazy.
Crayfish crazy.
For us, for Sharon's family. So we apologize for the inconsistency. We're back with a lovely interview. And I'm going to just warn you that maybe in February, it may also be a little inconsistent. We will try and keep you updated, right?
Correct.
On what's happening, because I know you guys have been asking and wondering what the heck's going on. So we'll just let you know that it may be inconsistent for another month or so, but we'll let you know.
Is this a shameful plug to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter?
Sure. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, because then we'll tell you what's going on.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Go follow us at Hungry Squared on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So, but how are you, Lee?
I'm doing okay. It's a beautiful spring day in winter here, beginning of February, and it's raining outside, and it was 50 degrees or something today.
While other people are experiencing the polar vortex.
Yeah, I sometimes life's good, sometimes life's bad. And when you're negative 40 degrees and you're plus 40 degrees, it's good and bad.
We feel for you, everybody out in the polar vortex land. It's no fun.
No fun. But do that boil the water and chuck it up in the air thing. That's pretty fun to do.
You've done that in Russia, I think.
I've done it in Mother Russia.
In the Mother Russia. I never did, so. But it's worthwhile, it sounds like.
It's fun. It's cool to see.
Nice.
Especially live.
Nice.
Winter, how are you doing?
Not too bad. It's been busy for us, so we can't complain. And if we did complain, nobody would listen to us.
Not even Lucy.
Not even Lucy. She runs off to the other room. Yeah, but we've been generally pretty good, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
And now for the main course. Okay, let's get down to our main topic at hand. Chef Justice Stewart.
Yeah. This was a pretty fun interview. I was not involved in it, actually. Lee interviewed chef to chef. That's what happened.
Chef to chef.
It was great. And just a little bit about Chef Stewart. We met him through a common acquaintance. So both Lee and I are on something called the ISVA. We're board members for the International Sous Vide Association. And because we like to sous vide. And so we were invited by our friends, Jason Logsdon, if you guys remember him from Amazing Food Made Easy. And he said, hey, you guys are enthusiasts. Do you want to help us out with this association, be a board member, help us out with our first annual Sous Vide Summit that's coming up in July. So I just want to put it and plug in there. If you love sous vide and you want to come to a cool conference where you get to meet people that started sous videing. I can't say, I don't know how to conjugate this,
yeah. It's French, so it's got to have a weird conjugation ending.
Does it?
Sous vide.
Or something.
We met Justice through just interacting through the Sous Vide Association, yeah.
So we thought it would be great to interview him because he did just barely come out with a new cookbook. And Lee's going to talk a little bit more about that cookbook with him. It's called Mastering the Art of Sous Vide Cooking. And I'm excited because he is also offering one of our listeners a copy of that new cookbook that just came out in December. So
not just a copy, a signed copy.
A signed copy, yes, that's right. So let's listen to the interview. We hope you enjoy it. And then we will give you a little bit more information on how you can enter that contest. Enjoy.
All right, welcome to Hungry Squared. This is Lee, and I'm on the line with Chef Justice Stewart. Now, Chef, do you want me to call you Chef? Do you want me to call you Justice? Do you want me to call you Chef Justice? How would you like to be addressed?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. You could just call me Justice.
All right, Justice. Now, if you guys are going to look him up on the internet, make sure you spell chef and not chief, because sometimes autocorrect will put in Chief Justice Stewart, and you'll be reading about Roe versus Wade, which is a very important thing to learn, but he is Chef Justice Stewart. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we have you have a book coming out, and it's called Mastering the Art of Sous Vide, Unlock the Versatility of Precision Temperature Cooking. How was it writing this book?
Well, it's my first book, so and I'm not a writer, so it was challenging, putting the time in writing and experimenting with the recipes, which was the toughest part since sous vide cooking is
Hours,
time-consuming.
yeah.
It's time consuming. So I had to schedule what recipes I'm going to test, when I'm going to test them. Some of them I had prior to starting the book, things that I've done already. So that helped a little bit. But it was pretty fun, let me tell you.
The one thing about recipe development, the best part is eating it.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I'm sure you had friends and family who buddied up to you just so they could be, oh, hey, I'll be a test subject.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they didn't know they were test subjects. And I would cook something at a gathering and, I'll document it. And it ended up in the book and they don't know it yet unless they got the book.
That's fun. Now, you have a very interesting background on how you became a chef. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, your growing up, and then how you morphed into a chef.
Oh, well, I was born in Queens, New York. I grew up in public housing projects. Somewhat had, during my teenage years, had a little bit of trouble with the law and stuff like that. Then just one day, I just was like, I'm going to get my stuff together. I'm going to get my life together. I began working in construction, which I worked in almost every aspect of it, from carpentry to plumbing to masonry. And I stayed with a masonry company for the last 6 years of that career. But during the time, I also cooked for friends and family on the weekends. I was that guy that you call the cook for the Super Bowl parties and things like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, so everybody always asks me, why aren't you cooking for a living? But I did love construction at the time. That was also something I really loved.
Yeah.
And I decided to start my food blog because of all of the encouragement from people. And this was in 2011. And the food blog started attracting attention from other chefs and cooks. And, I had a chef from Louisiana. He reached out to me and he wanted me to come and work for his catering company. And at the time, he was catering for the offices of LinkedIn in the Empire State Building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I went, told my boss one hot day in August after work on Friday that I'm going to change careers and I no longer want to work construction. And he was sort of in disbelief. He knew I cooked, but he didn't know how serious I was about it.
It's one of those, why would you give this up? You're already good at it. Why start a new path?
Yeah. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy. I mean, I loved cooking more.
Yeah.
And I had to actually take a huge pay cut to go into the culinary industry, but it was just something I wanted.
Sometimes following your passion is not just financially rewarding, but sometimes it is the most personally rewarding. And,
Yeah.
you see yourself growing more doing what you love. Did you find that to be your case as well?
Oh, well, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, was I going to be writing a cookbook? I would have laughed. I would have laughed in your face, But it was something, once I began to learn more and begin to write recipes for my blog, I started understanding a little more. So writing a book was no longer out of the question. I said, I can do this. But I still never pursued writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my blog, like I said, that Pastry Publishing came across, and they contacted me in 2017, at the end of 2017, and asked me, did I want to write a book? And gave me whatever subject I wanted to write about. I chose sous vide.
Oh, well, that's nice. Now let's talk about your blog. It's called Gourmet Deconstructed. Now, is that deconstructed part due to the fact that you were in construction?
Yeah, very much so. What happened is a friend of mine, she recommended that name to me. A friend actually recommended it. She seen that I was working construction, and she said, you're posting all these beautiful dishes on social media, and these people are talking about your food. You should call your blog Gourmet Deconstructed, because it was called justiceserved.com. it was called justiceserved.com, and it made more sense with the deconstructed, because I was teaching people how to make meals that they would view as complicated. So I took the concept, I'm working construction, I'm going to teach people how to deconstruct these fancy meals so they can make them at home. So that's really where the name came from.
Well, that's fun. I bet the personal emails changed quite a bit from Justice Served to Gourmet Deconstructed. Instead of, hey, I need a lawyer. Hey,
yeah,
I need a chef.
Yeah, Justice Served. Yeah, just as you said with Google, if you search me, it'll send you to Chief Justice, and all these judges come up and everything. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen it. It's funny. Well, yeah. So, and like I said, I started it in the summer of 2011, the blog. And since then, I was still working a lot at the time, so, it was hard to keep up with it. But as the years went on, I've gotten more passionate about writing recipes and actually learning more about how to write recipes properly and things like that.
It is a well-constructed recipe is something to love. It really helps a person cook if the recipe's written correctly.
Yeah, I mean, not being a writer, you can imagine the clashes I had with the editing team,
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a professional writer, but I knew how to write recipes. It was just about learning how to put things in the correct order of how the person's going to use the ingredients. That's one of the first things, But, it was a learning experience, and, I've already started writing a second.
Oh, you're writing a second. Is it going to be a sous vide related, or is it something else?
No, I'm leaning towards one of my other favorite cuisines, which is Cajun Creole cooking.
Oh, and how did you, just because you love Cajun Creole, or do you have family down in?
Oh, well, I have roots from the South, but not Louisiana.
Okay.
But during trips to Louisiana, I fell in love with the food. It's my favorite cuisine for the most part.
I have a friend who's from Louisiana, and he always does jambalaya, and I just love it. Just love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my gumbo recipe on my blog is to die for, so check that out when you guys get a chance.
I might have to, and then I'll bring it over to him. Show him up. Show him up.
Yeah, but that's I'm working out right now. Started writing already, and I don't know when we can start having it published, but I'm still in the beginning phases of that.
Well, don't put on too much weight testing out all those recipes,
Oh, well, I have help. It's not only I have help, I have
Spread the wealth.
People, plenty of people to help out. And, I do a lot of personal chef work.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I get to test recipes like that with just someone who's not like for instance, I cook for my wife, but she's usually my worst critic, especially if I'm doing something for the book. But for the most part, I like testing it on the average person out there. So, that's where you get the real feedback from,
With my wife as well, Winter, she does let me know this was a good thing, this was a bad thing. And it's an honest wife while cooking is awesome.
Yeah, it is. But
sometimes it hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
I spent how many hours on this, and you just tell me it's crap.
And it has happened to me quite a few times, and it does hurt when that happens. But at least you're being told,
Yes.
You adjust and move on. But as far as like sous vide cooking, I think that it's making such a resurgence And that's the reason why I chose that subject, because the history of it, a lot of people don't know that it was discovered accidentally in 1799 by a physicist named Benjamin Thompson. I speak about it in the book. He created a device to dry potatoes with hot air currents.
Oh.
And he gave up after a couple of hours, but he was using a mutton shoulder in the device. and he left it to the maids to tend to, and it stayed overnight. And the next day, he discovered a perfectly cooked mutton shoulder.
Oh, good old mutton shoulders.
Yeah, good old mutton shoulder, perfect for the sous vide. But this was like the first instance of sous vide cooking. So, and it became very popular in the 70s in French kitchens, over there. But now with the devices becoming more compact and friendly for the home, and vacuum sealing being the devices being smaller and cheaper, you can buy a circulator for $65 on Amazon.
Yeah.
More people are utilizing it.
Yeah, we actually, it was 1 or 2 Christmases ago, we actually bought my father a stick sous vide. He doesn't he doesn't cook, so in all reality, we bought it for my father, but it was actually a gift for my mother. So. Oh,
okay. Yeah, hey.
My dad would always comment about how our steaks were so good, and he would like to learn how to do it. But in all reality, my dad, he can make a mean toast, but that's about it. And so
I mean, the older generation, they're looking at this like, what is this contraption?
Yeah, no, he's appreciated it because my mom knows how to use it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that's good. I went to my in-laws the very first time with a sous vide device, and they were looking at me like I was speaking French or something. They were like, what is this thing? And I cooked the whole venison leg in it, and the whole family got together and ate it. And they were like, this is the best thing I ever tasted, so people are getting more educated on this way of cooking.
Like you said, it's becoming cheaper to get into it.
Yes, you don't have to break the bank to, sous vide cook. I mean, I don't recommend sous vide every single thing, but it's very versatile, and you can use it on so many different things. I see people sous vide bacon. I mean, to each his own. To each his own. I cook bacon normal. I'm not going to sous vide bacon.
I like my bacon so it can slap me.
Hey, listen, I was just in the a Nova food group, and I just seen someone post that thing, sous vide bacon, and I just like, oh, okay,
Yeah, well, I like to sous vide my cold cereal, so.
Yeah, exactly. Some things are just left best to cook traditional.
Yeah.
But there are some things that benefit a whole lot from sous vide cooking. It's really great.
Now let's transition. In your book, you have a lot of recipes for wild game. I know in New York there's a lot of wild animals, such as pigeons and raccoons and rats. First of all, how do you draw the inspiration to cook with wild game? And then second, how do you get it? How do you get I've seen camel, I've seen emu, I've seen all these different meats on your blog, but do you have to go to the New York Zoo at night, jump a fence, or?
Oh, just a quick correction. It's not in the book. I don't have any wild game in the book.
True, on your blog. Sorry.
Yeah, on the blog. Yeah. Now that's a funny story because wild game is how I was introduced to sous vide cooking.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I'll tell you the connection. Back in 2010, 11, I believe it was, a friend of mine that I met him through social media.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Andrew Pathak, and he's a wild game dealer in California. Well, he has farms nationwide, but he was based in Paris, California. And I was signed up for his Facebook page, and they did a giveaway. And somehow I won the giveaway. So he sent me $500 worth of wild game, just different stuff.
Oh,
just all kinds of different stuff.
That's cool.
And wild game is very lean. Most of the meat is very lean.
Mm-hmm.
You can overcook it very easy, and it just become bland and like dry.
Yeah.
And he recommended, hey, you should start cooking your food sous vide. And I'm like, hey, I never even heard of sous vide before. So I started to, look into it and find out a little more. And this is before they came out with so many different immersion circulators. So it's still a little pricey. You had stuff such as the sous vide supreme and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we end up just taking a chance and buying one. And, I began to start cooking all of my wild game via the sous vide method. And I get my wild game from him. And I mean, if you look at my blog, I actually have a blog post of a visit to the farm in California where he's located. And, I went there and I met all the animals. I actually was feeding the llamas and the ostriches and everything, very well kept animals and everything. But he introduced me to sous vide cooking. And wild game, when I was young, New York, yes, this is not a place that, this is not a place that you would consider, people eating elk and things like that.
Nope.
No, this is not a place for that. But what happened is, when I was younger, a family member cooked rabbit before.
Mm.
And I found it amazing. I was like, why don't people eat rabbits more? In New York, they're pets,
Yeah.
And, it was more of curiosity for me. And when I finally taste venison, I'm like we're missing out. What's going on here?
Mm, yeah.
And, and from there, once you start, once the age of the internet really started like getting larger, you were able to order these things. I can give you his information, his website, exoticmeatmarkets.com, but he sells everything from kangaroo to lion,
Oh.
He was featured on Inside Edition and everything. He's the only meat dealer is dealing lion in United States, but it wasn't African lion.
Uh-huh.
He was raising his own American lions for slaughter.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. I remember they had a food truck in LA, I think it was, and they were selling lion tacos and they were getting the lion meat from him. But he sells everything that's legal in the United States. Yeah, he sells everything that's legal.
Put the disclaimer, it's legal.
Yeah, it's legal. He doesn't sell penguins and stuff like that. He sells all legal meats.
Bald eagles, spotted owls.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't sell any of that kind of stuff. But if it's legal in the United States, you're likely able to get it from him.
Well, that's awesome.
And he takes a lot of invasive species. And, like you go to Florida and things, you have the iguanas that are invasive species and stuff like that. He sells stuff like that. He goes to Hawaii and hunts what they call axis deer, which are invasive there. So, you can almost get anything from him.
Well, that's awesome. And you just got into it because you won $500 worth of this weirdo meat. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, this is amazing stuff. I could do it.
Yeah, and it also got me into sous vide cooking. So it's
a win-win.
Both things came together at the same time.
When you were talking about all those different meats, that begs the question, what is, first of all, the weirdest thing that you've ever cooked? And what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh.
Not necessarily meat-wise, but just, because...
Just anything, wow.
Because I could honestly say, I think you're the only person I know that has ever had lion, if you've had it.
No, I've not had that.
You haven't had it?
I have 2 cats, so I refuse to eat lion.
It's their big brother? You don't want your cats turning on you?
I don't want no parts of that. I don't want any parts of that. Like he sells coyote. I understand people do eat coyote, but I don't want to eat a dog or any type of dog. So, but that's my personal preference. So that's just me. But, I'll eat camel,
No, was that...
But the weirdest thing may have been the camel ribs. I did 72-hour camel short ribs, if you want to call them short. They were very big.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about half the length of a table, I'm guessing.
I mean, that's what the packaging said, camel short ribs. The recipe's on my blog, like you said. You've seen it on the blog. I have the recipe there on the blog for that. Kangaroo, and it's interesting you're asking about this because Monday on Slate, I have some python that I'm going to cook.
Now, Did you have to rip it off your neck as it was trying to devour you, or how does it when you get a python in the mail? It's probably butchered, but how does it come to you in the mail? How do you get your meat?
They sent it packed up in dry ice and styrofoam coolers, and it's usually shipped overnight, so it doesn't sit around too long. And the python, it was basically filleted. You know what it looks like? It looks like a fish fillet in the packaging right now. It looks like a fish fillet, same color and everything. And I've never had snake at all, so this would be a first for me.
Well, good luck. Good luck. If you become the mill for your mill, I guess we'll read about it.
Yeah, I won't sous vide that though. I'm gonna
pan sear it or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear they deep fried rattlesnakes down in Texas, so maybe I'll try it like that. I don't know what to expect.
You could do python street tacos.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea if it tastes like frog legs or there are things. I mean, the closest I've had to that is frog legs. You want to talk about some kind of reptile?
Yeah, I think my mom has had rattlesnake once before at a restaurant in Arizona.
Yeah, I think they deep fry it a lot down there.
I was gonna say it's not one of those common things. You don't see too many snakes on a menu. Snakes on a plane, yes. Snakes on a menu, no.
Hey, but the funny thing is when early in this conversation when you talked about New York, now New York is different than it was when I was growing up as far as wild game, because I have a local store here in Brooklyn that I can walk to, and they sell like ground kangaroo, ground camel, and stuff like that. They don't have extremes like camel, but like kangaroo and ostrich and stuff is showing up a lot here in New York and venison.
It could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. It's, do you trust the people in your downtown local deli to, oh, yeah, this is $50 a pound, and I promise you it's kangaroo.
Well, let me tell you, a lot of New Yorkers are very squeamish when it comes to wild game. My family, they want to see the packaging before I cook for them. Like my siblings and, in fact, my daughter and her fiance, they were adventurous. They were very adventurous. I had a filet kangaroo leg. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I'm going to cook you dinner. I'm not going to tell you what it is until after we have dinner.
The infamous words.
Yeah, and they agreed. And it was a sous vide thing with the kangaroo. And they loved it until I said kangaroo. Everybody's face changed when I said kangaroo. I don't know. They thought they were eating bison or something. So, but
yeah, it's just Kobe beef. No, it's not kangaroo.
It's kangaroo. And but they loved it. So they had to admit it that it was really good. So that's people change their mind when they actually try it. It doesn't. I mean, they're scared of something being gamey. Which, to explain that, when people say gamey flavors, mm-hmm. It's more of just different than what you're used to eating. The meat, it may taste stronger. I mean, I don't know if you eat lamb, but people consider lamb gamey, Mm-hmm. If you don't eat lamb all the time and you eat it, it tastes totally different than beef, pork, chicken, So that's what, you would say is gamey. But gamey doesn't mean bad,
Yeah. So my paternal side of the family were sheep herders down, and so my grandpa hated sheep. He hated lamb. He hated mutton. But it wasn't until later in my life when I found it, and I love lamb shanks and putting it in curries and stuff. But then I also found venison. I love venison. It is, like you said, it's a stronger flavor. It's a different flavor. It's not a bad flavor. It's just a different flavor.
Yeah, it's a different flavor. I mean, I had some antelope shoulder that was hunted. It was wild antelope, because sometimes you have a lot of game meats people can buy from the stores now is farm raised, so you won't get that same gamey flavor. But I had an antelope shoulder that I got from exotic meat markets. And antelopes, they feed on sagebush.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the meat was flavored. The meat, like, it had hints of sage in the meat, What they say, you are what you eat, If you eat Iberico pork, they're acorn fed,
Oh,
So the meat is just nutty and it tastes different. It doesn't taste like regular domestic pigs.
that's very interesting. Like, there are subtle nuances, like, people are like, oh, grass-fed beef is always better. And it's true. Like you said, you are what you eat, and what we eat is what it is when it eats. So
yeah. I mean, if you eat, like I said, a pig that eats acorns, the meat is going to taste sort of like what it eats all day. So, and you can say it's gamey, but it is in a way because it's different than what you used to eat.
True. That's why I only eat donuts, just in case if somebody has to eat me. I want them to enjoy me. I want my meat to be sweet, and I want the cannibal to say, "This is a good man." This was for once in my life. I want somebody to say, "This was a good man."
Donuts. That's a good one. Yes, I mean, the extent of game that you try there in Utah, I'm sure you're surrounded by game.
We do get quite a bit. So to back up, I have quite a bit of friends who hunt. So my grandpa, he hunts, and then I have a bunch of friends who hunt. So we're offered elk, we're offered deer. We don't get too many warthogs or anything like razorback hogs or anything up here, but we get geese, we get duck, we get pheasant. So we get a different type of wild animal. We don't, the kangaroo population was during, when the cowboys came, they wiped out the kangaroo population. So
yeah, I would love to live in a place like that where people hunt all the time.
Well, you could come.
I would have a field day.
Come move out to Utah. It's beautiful most of the time,
but it's cold too.
Yeah, it's a dry cold. There's hardly any humidity, unlike New York.
Yeah, I've always said when I leave New York, it's going to be for somewhere warm year round.
Well, don't come to Utah then.
I would love to visit. My wife has visited Utah. She told me it's really nice. She went somewhere, I think it's called Red Mountain or something like that.
Red Rock?
Red Rock.
Red Rock. Yeah. All the beautiful national parks are down there in that area.
Yeah, that's exactly where it was, Red Rock. Yeah, she went to some kind of retreat there. It's really nice. The pictures, it looks beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And that part of Utah stays pretty warm most of the year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like the desert. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. There's the national park Bryce Canyons can get, because it's higher elevation. It can get some snow, but it's beautiful. Nice. It's beautiful when it snows down there.
Okay, I'm gonna visit one day. Probably never move there, but I will visit one day.
Well, give us a call. We'll give you a tour of at least Salt Lake, where we live.
Oh, definitely, because you would be the only two people I know in Utah.
We'll drag Jason along too. Then he could show you.
Oh yeah, that's right, Jason. But he's a Brooklynite now. We claimed him now.
Yeah, we'll ship him over. We'll FedEx him overnight. Talking about Jason, he is part of the International Sous Vide Association, and you are also part of the Sous Vide, the International Sous Vide Association. How did you get hooked up with Jason, and how did you get hooked up with the ISVA?
Oh, okay. Well, I met Jason because, as you know, they have an amazing food group called Amazing Food Made Easy on social media. And I was one of the contributors in the group of food and advice for people that are cooking to eat and everything. And we met through there, but he didn't know I was in Brooklyn and I didn't know he was in Brooklyn. And when we both learned that, we decided to get together and, sit down and chat. And he told me about the association and everything. And I just thought it was an amazing idea and opportunity, because this is a method of cooking that's, becoming very popular, and it's not being represented. And people need somewhere that they can come to get expert advice and things like that,
Yeah. What was it called? The Amazing Food?
Amazing Food Made Easy.
Amazing Food Made Easy. All right.
And also exploring sous vide.
Yeah, I've heard of the exploring sous vide because that's how we sort of got how I got associated with Jason.
Yeah. Actually, excuse me. The Amazing Food Made Easy is his. I think that's their business page.
Yeah,
the Exploring Sous Vide is the food group.
That's right.
Okay, that's what it was. I had mixed up.
Oh, yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, I contributed a lot of dishes in the group, so that's that's how we discovered each other, and I had no idea that he had so many books already. So,
he is pretty prolific.
Yeah,
he's a prolific writer.
Yeah, he's definitely full of a lot of knowledge and things like that. One day, he and I do pop-up dinners here in New York every here and there, and I'm looking forward to working with him one day. I told him, come and work together one day.
Yeah, that would be a fun adventure.
Yeah.
And who knows if he could... Who knows if he could handle the heat of a kitchen, but he'll be able to.
He always tells me, he said, listen, I can't be the lead on this thing, so that's going to be your part of the experience. But he's like, I just want to come and have a whole lot of fun.
Hey. And having fun, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. I didn't even touch on, that's how I furthered my career, because I used to be nervous and stuff like that. And I actually went to work in as a sous chef in Madison Square Garden. And it's pretty much one of the places I cut my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It was cooking for the VIP and celebrity clientele during the Knicks and Rangers games. And it was where I really expanded my sous vide knowledge and learning how to cook for a lot of people, at one time. And not being nervous and just jumping in and saying, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, I bet that would be, like you said, a great way to cut your teeth in the industry, where you just have to jump in both feet and do it.
It was pretty scary. It was a John George kitchen also. So it was pretty much gladiator school for me. In the beginning, I had my bad days. Some days were worse than other, but once once I got into it, it was like it just became so much fun, and I just enjoyed myself the rest of the ride.
Well, just as long as you didn't lose an arm in the beginning. I think
exactly.
You graduated.
So once you get it, it's it's just like coming on this podcast. I said, I don't know what to expect. I've never done a podcast.
Well, hopefully you don't resent coming on a podcast because of this experience.
Well, no, no, this is great. It's more of having a conversation than I thought it was going to be. I'm not some celebrity or something. I'm used to being on TV or doing radio interviews.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're enjoying it. Now we're going to get to the tough questions.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's sort of coming to the end of the interview, but, I said, we've got the tough questions.
Okay.
What is the most amount of food you've ever sous vide cooked at one time?
Oh, okay.
Now, this is just interesting, fun thing, so,
Yeah. The most, I can probably say maybe about 40 or 50 pounds of, beef tenderloin at the same time.
That's pretty healthy.
Yeah. And I do mean, whole tenderloins via the sous vide method.
Did you put it in your bathtub or?
Oh no! Well, since we were in Madison Square Garden, I had all the equipment I needed. So, but what we had to do, we were serving the food mostly buffet. So people would come before the game, and they'll come back during halftime. So it was just. Everything had to be high octane fast because you're feeding 300 people a night in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I would, we would vacuum pack, 20, 25 whole tenderloins and have them in the sous vide, and just to take them out, brown them, cut them
up
send them out.
Send them out.
Yeah, and send them out. So, but as far as volume, that is the most, maybe 50, 60 pork chops at one time, stuff like that. It was always a lot of volume,
I guess Madison Square Garden does have quite a bit of people who come visit it during said basketball games or hockey games.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've had all of the celebrities and singers from Phil Jackson. Well, that's when he was coaching the Knicks. Well, not coaching, the president of the Knicks.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because for the most part, celebrities don't eat a lot, but we also service the season ticket holders, and they would come and slam us.
And
You know.
they probably renewed the season tickets just so they could eat there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what the chef used to explain to me. He said, listen, especially during the New York Rangers game, he's like, listen, these are blue collar workers coming in here that they don't eat filet mignon and rack of lamb on a regular basis. So they're going to eat. And they eat, they did. Yeah, eat, they did, you know. So, it was a great experience. So I learned a lot that job also.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, talking about sports, New York has quite a bit of sports influence in the world. Are you a Yankee or are you a Mets fan?
Yankees all day.
So you just chase after titles.
Yeah, that's it. Yankees all day.
Now, you worked in Madison Square Garden, so you're a Knickerbocker or are you a Nets?
Yes, I'm a suffering Knicks fan.
Hey, one day they'll get back to glory.
Yeah. Like, I think right now we're 50 something games into the season and we won 10 games. So
Jets or Giants?
Oh, the Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah, Giants.
Wow.
No Jets, no Mets, no Nets.
Hey, I think there's a running theme with that. All right, Justice, to wrap it up, can you tell us where people can find you? Do you have Twitter? Do you have Instagram? Plug your blog.
On Twitter, you can find me at Justice Gourmet. On Instagram, you can find me at Chef Justice Stewart. And my blog, www.gourmetdeconstructed.com. I also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Gourmet Deconstructed.
And now plug your book that's coming out.
My cookbook was just released December 11th of last year. It can be found at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, Book Depository, IndieBound. Every large retailer, you can find the book. It's a great book. It's priced well and it's very informative. You can get a little bit of history of sous vide cooking. It's broken down to 10 chapters, featuring brunch, desserts, beef, pork, seafood. And it just gives you a whole perspective if you want to create restaurant quality full meals.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Chef.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice.
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for listening to that interview with me and Chef Justice.
That was so great.
Well, thank you.
Super interesting.
It was all him. It wasn't me.
Well, good job asking questions.
Well, thank you.
Well, did you have any takeaways that you really enjoyed?
Yes. I need to find myself an exotic meat monger.
Yes, apparently you do.
It's
a thing.
We need kangaroo tacos and python deep fried sushi.
Because that's where it's at.
Or heck, we could even do lion steaks.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Lee.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. But, to each his own. Exactly. Anyway, okay, you guys. So, like I said, Chef Justice has, he is graciously given us a signed copy of his new book, Mastering the Art of Sous Vide Cooking. Once again, super pretty, we're really super excited to give a copy out. So this is what you have to do in order to enter the contest. Obviously, listen to this episode. You're doing that now, so good work.
Good job.
And then if you want to head over to his site, and I think he mentioned it on the podcast, but it is gourmetdeconstructed.com. And there, just on his site, he will actually have a blog post up with this interview there, so you can see that. But then when you just log in when you just go to his site, there's going to be a little pop-up that says follow. It's very unobtrusive. And I'll put a link in the show notes so you kind of see where it's at. But just all you have to do is click follow, type in your email address, and then go to that blog post. And he's going to post it on Monday, February 4th. So you can look for that particular blog post. And in the comments, you have to put the following hashtag. Hashtag Mastering the Art of Sous Vide. So it's basically the name of his book. But you do have to put hashtag Mastering the Art of Sous Vide. That's all you have to do. The winner will be announced on February 28th, 2019. So that's what we're planning on do. So you can go ahead and I think we'll just go ahead and say the contest ends on the 27th of February at 11:59 p.m. All that information will be in the information, and we'll have it on all our social media too. So good luck.
Good luck.
We're excited.
Make sure to sign yourself up, sign up your significant others, sign up your neighbors.
Yes.
But don't let your neighbors know, because then you're going to get the book.
Yeah, that's true. And once again, we're excited about the first annual Sous Vide Summit, which is going to be happening in July, and it's going to be a little bit more back east. And if you are interested in joining us, let us know. You can just go to the ISVA, so it's the isva.org, and you can look there for some more information. I will have a link in the show notes. We're going to be there. We're excited to meet and mingle with the other people that are sous vide enthusiasts. We're just excited about that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today for our show. You can find us at hungersquared.com, on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and on Spotify.
Okay, once again, you guys jump on over to our Instagram, Twitter, that type of thing, on our Facebook, and you will see how we can enter that contest with Chef Justice, and share it with your friends and family. We love it having this kind of nerdy food community with you guys. So anyway, join us next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love ya. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry squared, yeah, hungry squared.